There are more than 33 million people in Greater Tokyo, and it seems like half of them come through Shibuya Station at rush hour. This place is absolutely nuts. Welcome to Japan. In each episode of Buying Asia, we'll review every country or city, allowing you to decide whether to invest or not to invest. To do this, we'll look at taxes, currency, mortgages, rentability, saleability, and finally, whether it's even legal to purchase property as a foreigner. Hi, I'm Tim Murphy, and this is Buying Asia. I'm standing on top of one of the newest buildings in Tokyo, and really there are not many. Truthfully, over the last 20 years, these people have been through some very turbulent times in Tokyo and wider Japan. Land prices here are down 40% since 1991. So join me on this week's episode as we travel through the whole of Japan to see if there's light at the end of this long, dark tunnel. On the surface, Japan seems to offer a lifestyle that can be envied the world over. It's immaculate, has an efficient transportation network, a low crime rate, terrific cuisine, no shortage of activities, and a supreme sense of style. As for Tokyo itself, the city is bustling and certainly must be considered to be one of the elite metropolitan centres in the world. But dig deeper and there are big problems. Among them, an ageing population and a continued economic slump. To help me understand more, I talked to one local expert about what's happening. Right now I'm with Brooks, who's going to tell us about the Japanese economy. Doesn't make great reading, does it?
No, it doesn't, but I think we're getting close to the bottom.
Well, after 19 years, you're almost at the bottom, are you?
I think so. I mean, one, you can see it in the real estate prices, which after 19 years are actually slowing down in terms of the slump. And then the economic side, you really can't go much farther in terms of lack of investor interest. And I'll give you an example. The U.S. hedge fund industry has 1.3 trillion assets under management. Currently, they're investing less than 1% in Japan.
Wow.
1%.
What was it in its heyday? I mean, did it ever get to dizzy heights of 10, 15% or 20 or?
I think you would probably see upwards of 20%, if not more, when the markets are really, really cranking.
So what's going to get money back in here then?
Well, I think two things. One, you need to have some political stability, which we clearly haven't had. We've had, I think, 4 prime ministers in the last 2 years. That's A. And B, we need to have some structural change on corporate governance. That has been a real issue in the last few years as well. So I think if we solve those 2 problems, and of course the recent devaluation of the yen, I think we're going to see a real takeoff in the marketplace.
Final piece from you then, you still have confidence. What about the real estate market? If I'm investing from overseas, should I come here as opposed to your Chinas, your Hong Kongs, your Singapores? Why would I come here for real estate?
Safe. In terms of desirability of where you want to be, it's stable. There's a rule of law as an investor. In terms of its interest as a tourist destination, you've got some of the best skiing in the world, beautiful countryside. Again, it's a very safe place, beautiful people, easy access.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm at the Tsukiji fish market. They've got absolutely everything here. I don't know what half of this stuff is. No idea whatsoever. I'm not going to get in trouble for that, am I? Anyone that loves sushi will tell you this is the place to come. You could be sat in a restaurant in New York or London in the next 24 hours and you'll be eating what they're serving here. The Japanese property market used to be similarly influential, but in this day and age, it's heading in the same direction as the bluefin tuna. It remains to be seen if it can bounce back. All this tuna here is auctioned daily at the most amazing tuna auctions. It's such a feast for the eyes. This cabinet alone, tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of US dollars. Yeah, these fellas are still alive. Oh, wow, look at the size of that. Let's get some tuna. Right, time to look at some property. We're in the Mita area of Tokyo, which has got its fair share of challenges in terms of occupancy rates, particularly in commercial buildings. I'm here to see Kevin Johnson, and you're tasked with actually selling this building here, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And how's it going?
Well, is it going? That's the question, right? This building was built 2 years ago by a local developer. And look at the building. It's a wonderful building. They've done a fabulous job.
Is anybody renting it? Is it leased out?
It's not leased out. It has not been rented. There have been several offers made on it. But frankly speaking, because of the financial crisis at the moment, the best offers made on this building have been maybe 60% of its original value.
Wow, and is that a sign of the times? I mean, is that what's going on here? It's not just this building. Is that pretty common in your job right now?
It's very common, unfortunately.
And what's your take on the commercial market? We'll talk about residential later.
Sure.
Do you see there being an uptick in the near future?
No, not in the very near future.
Well, I like your honesty. We're going to look at some resi now.
Okay.
Where are we?
We're in Aoyama, one of the choice areas in Tokyo.
Okay.
And this building is a building built in the 80s.
Okay. So for Japan, that's old, right?
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, most buildings have a 15-year lifespan here.
And what's the story here?
Well, this building is interesting because what has happened is a foreign investor has come in and he bought the two apartments on the top floor and he created a Western-style penthouse.
Okay, fantastic.
And so it's a beautiful apartment, 150 square meters, lovely balcony, 40 meters for the balcony.
Wow, that's big. I mean, you get 20-meter apartments in Japan, right? You get the tiniest apartments in the world in this city.
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of money would this be to buy this?
For that, about 2 million US.
$2 million US property,
Yes.
completely refurbed in
Yes.
a very good area.
Yes.
And you know, actually, that's not a lot of money for the centre of a major city like this, right?
It's not a lot of money at all.
I'm getting an 8% yield, and I can borrow money at 2%.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. There might be a future in residential after all. Join me after the break on Buying Asia, where we travel to Akuba and the beautiful ski fields of Niseko. Japan, what's not to like? Tokyo's been literally destroyed twice. In 1923 they had an earthquake here, and then the Second World War. And each and every time they rebuild themselves. In 1958 they built the Tokyo Tower, a symbol of enduring strength for Japan. What began as a small fishing village is now the largest metropolitan centre in the world. Since Tokyo has been demolished twice in the last century, much of the architecture is new. But aside from notable projects like Roppongi Hills, many buildings resemble cookie-cutter blocks that are uninspired. I did, however, meet an architect who's trying to change all that. Right, I'm with Elba, who's been an architect here for 27 years in Tokyo. Amazing you've been here that long because, quite frankly, there's not a lot of superb architecture around here. What have you been doing?
Well, there are some superb architecture in Tokyo, but you really have to look for them, first of all. But in general, the overall, it's true that the architecture is boxy.
Well, why is it? I mean, you look at other cities around Asia and they're so flamboyant now, it's getting more and more stylish, but here we've got these horrible boxes everywhere.
Well, the first reason is that almost 90%, 90 to 92% of architectural contracts are signed by general contractors in Japan. And this leaves only 8% of architectural contracts to true architectural offices, which are, we are one of them. We are some like 3,000 architectural offices here in Japan.
But the other guys, why aren't they building anything? I mean, you said to me before that there's a lot of cheap builds. Why are they building so cheap?
Well, you should remember that these are architectural offices which belong to general contractors. And the ideal is not to build something great for the city, but it's money-making companies, all right?
But people buying these, are they buying them to live in, or are they buying them to sell them and lease them? Because, why are they not interested in spending a bit more money? I mean, on your own home or your own office, you spend more money, right?
It is true, and there is a better tendency today. Like there are some new complexes which are built in Japan, in Tokyo in general. But still today we see a tendency of building very cheap and without thinking of energy consciousness, and without thinking of how much the tenant or the future buyer or owner will spend.
Okay, but you're doing something different. So now we're going to look at some property which actually bucks the trend for Tokyo. That's quite stylish. Let's go have a look.
All right.
Okay, so one of Albert's creations. What building's this?
This is Saint-Gobain building. It was built 10 years ago, and it is the head office of the world's top glass manufacturers.
Okay, and what have you done differently here from the kind of normal? Obviously, it looks a bit
First
swanky,
of all,
but what's different?
This building, first of all, I made a promise to the client in the year 2000 that it will be it will save 30% energy bills on energy bills, and I kept my promise. And in that moment, when I gave him the promise, he told me, "I want you to stay with the building, and then see how far you go to keep your promise." And that's when I got the idea of creating a building maintenance company, because we have to then see how the building is performing, aging.
Albert's idea to save energy costs was to create an ice storage system, but that was just the start. He also put sensors on the inside of the building which harness the sun's energy, and is currently creating panels which exchange heat. The results include cheaper energy bills and a lack of noisy air conditioners that are so common in Asia. His future plans include water pipes underneath one client's private home and, of course, advanced earthquake proofing.
This building you have here is built with the SRC system, which is steel reinforced concrete. So there is the steel structure is cast in a concrete system, and the upper part of the building from the second floor and on, this is the first floor, the ground floor in Japan is the first floor, the second floor and on is only steel. So the steel gives this flexibility during an earthquake.
So there you go, there is hope for Japanese architecture, yeah? Japan has the biggest rail network in the world. They're at the centre of it all in Tokyo Station. We're heading to Akuba, which is a little unknown ski resort near Nagano. They've got me at the crack of dawn to get there, so I better get going. A little bit confusing, but I think I know what I'm doing. Small train. It's cost me $500 for 5 tickets on a train. I don't reckon I'm even going to get a seat. 4 hot dog coffee and 1 cold dog. All right, we're in Nagano, famous for the Winter Olympics at some point in the 80s. $1,500. 1,500 a ticket. It's 9:20 exactly, and we're off. And you've got to love Japanese efficiency. All right, we're in the northern Alps of Japan. It's not snowing, but it's the wrong time of year. They had the 1998 Olympics here, Winter Olympics, obviously. We're going to go and check out Akuba now. Okay, I'm with Aki, who's going to tell me all about the beautiful resort that is Akuba. So there's 9,000 people here. Yeah, this is the centre of about 10 different ski resorts.
Yes.
200 runs, 11 metres of snow.
Yep.
So what's happening with the real estate market here?
The last 3 or 4 years, actually the number of the transactional property is just increased.
Okay.
And mostly by the foreigners people, mainly the Australian people, 90%, and the others, American, Canadian.
So why are the foreigners now coming? Obviously, Niseko's been the big draw for ski resorts for Japan, and a lot more expensive. People coming here because it's cheaper?
Yes, and also the Hakuba is the part of the mainland. That the people doesn't have to get flight to go to anywhere.
So it's very accessible.
That's right.
And at the moment, it's about 50–60% cheaper than Niseko. So it's kind of Japan's best kept secret in terms of ski resorts, but it doesn't feel like it today. Why are we in Hakuba, I can hear you asking yourselves. Well, normally on Tim's place, we're in some swanky high-rise apartment. Not so today. We're at a ski lodge in Japan and it's pouring with rain. So this is Gatto Lodge. In the winter, we have 49 people staying here in 11 rooms. Quite amazing. I haven't managed to do the maths yet, but these rooms all separate and they've got communal bathrooms. But of course, they've got their resplendent karaoke room like all of these old Japanese lodges. Very, very popular in the winter, not quite as popular in the summer, but they do get a lot of the locals here from Tokyo in the summer. But why have we bought this place? The main reason is the land. Like all things in Japan, in terms of property, the real value is the land, not the underlying asset. We're going to build 12 brand new homes just over the way there for all these new Western tourists, Australians, Brits, to live in a bit more Western sort of splendour. So that's the big story here. Kind of nice little old place, but you know, there's a lot more to it than that. Okay, so in summary, this property was bought for about 1.35 million US dollars 2 years ago. The yield, 3 or 4%, not that exciting. Currency gain, about 30%, so much better. But what's the real story here? The real story is the land opposite, where we're going to build some super high-end luxury villas. They just don't have that kind of stuff around here, and we think they're going to yield and capital growth extremely well because of international visitors. That's the real story. Like all Asians, the Japanese love their food. And Asha is going to tell me what we're eating.
We're having ramen, which has the famous hakuba pork inside.
This is organic local pork, yeah?
Yes, organic pork, and also blueberries are very famous in this area.
Okay, blueberries and jam, etc., etc. Okay, now you've been travelling here for a long time and coming here particularly in the summer, so we didn't get to see the summer very well today. So is it popular? What goes on here in the summer?
It's very popular. My family only comes in the summer. We never come in the winter time. We do the fireworks, and it's just mainly eating. We eat and do fireworks, play tennis, and
Okay.
just regular outdoor activities.
All right, so basically they come here in the summer, they eat pork and blueberries.
Pretty much.
All right, sounds like fun. Shall we eat?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that was Hakuba. Join me after the break where we're going to travel to Niseko and trade in a bit of this rain for a lot of snow. Niseko is becoming a real hotspot for property investment around the region. With flights coming in from Dalian and the rest of China, and 52% of the world's population within 4 hours of Niseko, this is becoming a real hot property investment market. So join me on the Piste in Niseko to look at property investment from all sorts of different standpoints. From buying organic land and farming, to buying a penthouse apartment right in the middle of Irafu village here. Niseko is located in the northern part of Japan, a couple of hours by plane from Tokyo. It's got a population of nearly 5,000 and gets a couple of 100,000 visitors for the ski season. There are 6 ski areas in the town, but it's also becoming popular as a summer destination thanks to its 5 golf courses and numerous outdoor activities. And despite being voted one of the world's top ski resorts, this place is still a bit of a secret. Niseko is a preeminent ski resort in Asia and it's absolutely flying at the moment. From its origins about 5-7 years ago when Australian backpackers came here, now some of the biggest investors in the world are coming here, including groups like the Shangri-La Hotel Group who are coming here this summer. To add to that, they're redeveloping the whole main street, so it should be a real change for this particular market. I mean, just look at it. Why wouldn't you want to invest here? It's absolutely incredible. I'm with Chris Chan, who heads up Niseko Promotion Board. Chris, what's that all about? Obviously, you're trying to drive more tourism in, yeah?
Well, we do a number of different things, and certainly one of our major roles is bringing people here, telling everybody in the world just how great it is here. But that's just one part of it. We're also doing, amongst other things, destination planning and destination management as well. So making sure that when people do come here, they have the best possible experience, and making sure that the village itself, going into the future, is just maintained and developed in the right direction. Something that's really important.
And people keep talking about, you know, the amazing resort that is Niseko, the snow and everything else, which is all obviously very natural, but in terms of infrastructure, you know, you don't get born with infrastructure. So what are you doing to sort of take it on to another level? Because, you know, it is a way away from places like Whistler and Queenstown. If people are going to be putting serious money here, what are you doing with that?
Look, absolutely, it is a long way away from, say, a Whistler or an Aspen, but that said, Whistler wasn't the Whistler that we see today 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's evolved, and these things all take time. We've got a number of projects underway at the moment. Probably the most significant would be the burial of the overhead power lines and the road heating of the main street from the traffic lights up to the top of the hill. So that's all been approved in terms of funding from the central government, and that'll happen over the next couple of years. So these are large, as you can imagine, capital.
Yeah, road heat. So that's a big stretch of road heating, right?
Oh, absolutely.
To find out more about why Niseko is becoming a more desirable investment opportunity, I talked to several long-term residents and property developers, one of whom arrived in Niseko 15 years ago, long before most people knew about this place.
You know, what's the difference now from 15 years ago? Why is the property market here so interesting?
I guess it's just a culmination of a few things, but at the moment it's a lot of infrastructure's gone in. We've got a new airport, a 6-terminal international airport. I mean, it was kicked off by the Aussies in 2003. There's a lot of reasons, but I guess the main reason is the Chinese. The mainland Chinese are starting to come in, the Hong Kongese, they're just so close.
So basically the story is, lots of people with lots of money who want to ski, who love the idea of skiing. It's very easy to get here. And again, you're paying, for a house or an apartment here, you're paying, what, 20-30% of what you would pay in Europe or what you would pay in the US, right? Something like that. What would the 2-bedroom apartments stick you back for here?
Well, it depends if you want to walk 50 metres, because that's really the difference.
But bottom and top range?
Bottom and top range, 300,000 US, I suppose, up to 1.2 million.
So your investment in Niseko is about capital growth, medium term, lots of money, not much land, getting close to the mountain if you can, or within 5 minutes of the mountain, and riding a poor yield for a few years while you guys get your act together in the summer. And, People are not just buying apartments in Niseko, they're also building large family homes like that one there. This is about 3 minutes from the centre of the village. In most ski resorts around the world, you could never buy a house that close and build such a big property. This is a Hong Kong investor, actually, who's going to bring his family here in the summers and to ski in the winter. It's absolutely magnificent.
Man, look at this.
Well, you haven't seen anything yet. If you like that, you're probably going to love this.
Oh, that's outrageous. That is outrageous.
Like
that's a Japanese onsen, right? So spring water.
Absolutely. It's natural hot spring water, so it comes up out of the ground at about 42, 43 degrees. And that's all solid hinoki, which is a special timber that they have here in Japan that's very resistant to the water. So it'll stay like that for 100 years.
Mate, that is outrageous. That's bigger than an average apartment in Hong Kong. The rest of the house is equally stunning. There are 5 bedrooms, which all come with en-suites. The stylish living room has a perfect view of Mount Yate in the distance. And as far as Chris Chan is concerned, this is the best house in all of Niseko. I mean, it's hard to digest this as a pure property investment, right? Because, obviously, this guy's buying for his own personal use. But if he had a house like this in, say, Aspen, and this is Aspen-style sort of modern home, you're talking about probably 15 million US upwards,
Easily.
right? Maybe 20. And this is worth what?
You'd probably say around 5 or so US.
See, I mean, I know it's real money, but in the great scheme of things, for the kind of property this is, the size of it. Well, how big is it?
545 metres, spread over 5 levels.
All right, so in English money, that's about 5,500 square feet. That's pretty big.
I'm here in Chikotsuko Lake, about 40 minutes from Sapporo in northern Japan. As you can see, it's an idyllic spot. Over here is an active volcano, and that's actually steam coming from the top. It's not cloud, it really is an active volcano. Here in the summer, they're water skiing and they're jet skiing, and it's a great summer vacation for people. It's actually a camping ground over here. Anywhere else in the world, it'd be littered with multi-million-dollar homes, but thankfully here, it's absolutely pure and pristine. But it's a bit chilly.
Beautiful idyllic locations, ski lifts that rarely get crowded, the biggest snowfall of any ski resort in the world, and homes that are solidly constructed. In terms of real estate and outdoor activities, Niseko seems to have it all. It's no wonder that it's being called both the Aspen of Asia as well as the Tuscany of Asia. Nonetheless, given the Japanese economy, I wanted to find out what the future holds for Niseko. So next 5 years, I mean, what does it look like for you guys? You going anywhere? You staying here?
I'm definitely staying here. Yeah, I see that there's a, definitely strong growth over the next 5 years. If the last 2 years, well, the last year, I suppose, since the GFC is anything to go by.
Any chance of a bubble here emerging?
Well, I think if there was talk of a bubble, before the recession, and people sort of started saying, all the bubbles popped, so to speak. But it seems to be that since that talk, there has been sustained growth.
Well, if you look at the bubble in Japan 18 years ago, you look at prices of land and stuff, they were ridiculously high.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not comparable now.
Yeah.
And the thing that sustains this growth and keeps it within a reasonable level is the fact that when you come here, you're getting a great holiday, you're getting powder snow,
Yeah.
you're getting more and more amenities now as the community builds up and everything's getting developed.
You're an English family. You like investment property. You maybe bought in the Alps before or whatever, and you're looking at this thinking, well, it's a long flight to Sapporo and then getting in a bus and going off skiing. Why do you think those guys should be buying here? I mean, is it compelling for them?
The other thing, the world's a much smaller place than it ever used to be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the vast majority of Britons have never been to Japan.
Yeah.
So to combine a ski holiday with being able to, enjoy Japanese culture, the fine food we've got here,
Yeah.
I think it would appeal to a lot of people.
So what have we learned? Certainly Japan is having its challenges, but it's not all doom and gloom. In this country, foreigners can own. Relatively high taxes can be minimised with careful planning. And the market is pretty liquid, both in terms of selling and tenanting. My biggest drawback on Japan right now is the strength of the currency. That, coupled with a lack of local buyer demand in Tokyo, makes it a no-go. However, for Niseko and Akuba, with great skiing and a huge local and international demand, I see a great capital upside, which makes me give them both a big thumbs up. Next week on Buying Asia, join me in Kuala Lumpur, where I'll be checking out all the latest developments there. Is the Malaysian property market reaching the dizzy heights of the Petronas Towers, or is it more like one of the city's famed street-level bazaars? I'll be sure to let you know. Until then, this is Tim Murphy signing off on Buying Asia, one brick at a time. It's not just the monkeys that swing through the trees. Yeah!